let me kind of go into this question now that we're talking about that, right? Sexual encounters for the men, right? For you guys, this going to both. Okay, Greg.
Greg first.
If a woman gives it up on the first date, is she considered a hoe?
That's a hard one.
No,
That's a hard
not
one.
really. It depends how they started, how she approached you and stuff.
Okay.
So, if it's like, first day already being dirty, like within seconds, then yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
What did you say?
If
nah.
they're dirty within the
No,
first
wait,
second,
what I mean by that is that, like, as soon as you like sit with them and you're not like the conversation starts off like touchy and shit, then yeah.
But what if y'all's chemistry is just there?
I mean, but it's not always like that. What
It's
if
not always like
what
that.
if y'all talking about like different stuff, like sexual stuff,
Yeah.
What do you think, David?
I'll say this, man. If I'm talking to a girl or just, I guess, a date or even hanging out with her and it starts off real flirty like that, real sexual, I'm already getting to the idea in my head, I'm probably just going to smash you. Because that's the vibe you're giving me. But if you're giving me respectful, and we're working our way into the connection, then I'll have more respect. And I know you're probably not going to want to put out the first night, which is completely cool. But when you give off that perception of real flirty, touchy, now, yeah, you're turning into what your actions are telling me you're for the streets.
Yeah. No,
But I will say this. I know 2 or 3 people where they had sex on the first night and they've been together for 5 years. But it may come down to the connection was good and they weren't touchy, and it just happened to happen that
That's
night.
how my last
Which
relationship
exactly.
happened.
Some relationships do happen like that, and that's completely fine.
I think
as long as y'all are still together, it doesn't
I think
have
it
to
just
quit.
depends.
Yeah, as long as
You're not
as
just
you
giving
talk.
up.
let me
every
ask you
guy.
this.
Yeah, it's
well,
different.
so okay, here's my perspective on that, right? Because yeah, I've had, what I'm saying, first
One
night
night
type of
stands,
deal.
yeah.
No,
We all
have
absolutely.
shit.
We all have it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I personally don't think I don't feel and I don't view a woman to be a hoe after giving it up the first night.
Yeah, I would
now
say the same.
here's
you just said
hold
the
on.
opposite.
I said if she's real flirty, touchy, then
Exactly.
yeah, you're for the
Yeah.
streets.
Exactly.
But if we can have sex the first night, but as long as the connection is there and you're not flirty, touchy the majority of the whole time, and it just leads
well,
to
then
that.
how does sex happen without being flirty, touchy?
Well, no, it happens.
Here's-
like, hey, look,
hold
listen,
on.
Listen,
He's like, I'm gonna tell you how it works.
Listen. Nah, so I feel like if if we go out to dinner, we just vibing, talking, and then we go somewhere else to get drinks, whatever.
and then it keeps going.
Here's-
and
No,
it
no,
keeps
listen,
going.
listen, and then where you just like getting comfortable, whatever, but not like in a dirty way. I don't know if you know what I
Here-
mean by that.
Here's a true test. Here's a true test.
Elaboration.
Hold on. Okay, yeah.
listen,
So hold on.
listen,
Here's
let
a
me finish. Let me finish.
okay. Go ahead.
All right, so this is what I mean. So like you on a day and you're vibing, whatever, and then we go get some drinks, and then we just like not necessarily like touchy, touching all over me and shit, whatever. And then you just at the end you just like, hey.
What if the drinks made her do that though?
But
I mean, that's different.
They
That's
usually
different.
do
That's
that.
different.
So
Yeah.
then it
Look,
changes.
look.
Then
Look.
it
It's
changes.
it's different
Okay.
because you're vibing at first, but then you get tipsy. You're really.
Okay.
But that doesn't
but if
doesn't
you- hold on,
define
But
it.
if you do it,
Yeah.
if you do it right when you're not.
Hold on.
Roger, you're funny, bro.
No,
What if you
look.
say-
But if you're doing it when you're like sober and shit, then yeah, that's.
That doesn't define it though, because yeah, sure, you can. I mean, emotions can. You know what I'm saying, they can switch even midway through the night, right? Yeah. A girl can tell like she could probably be feeling like, no, I'm not going to sleep with this guy at the beginning of the night, but then halfway through the night, she'll decide, yeah, I am going to go home with him, right? But here's the true test to all this, right? And this free game for any guys watching. All right, so homegirl gives it up the first night, right? That means mainly she was very attracted to you, because no girl's gonna give it up without.
So what if she goes next weekend?
Hold on. Oh, hear me out. Okay, this is where the test is, right?
Okay.
Because for a girl to sleep with you on the first night, it's a big deal for her, because she's not gonna want to just come off as like she's sleeping with just anybody, right? But here's the true test. Here's the true test, right? Because the woman will always have the power at the beginning of the date. The first date will have the ball in her court. The moment she gives it up, that power shifts. Now it's on your court. And a lot of guys don't know how to control this, right? They don't know how to keep going with this, right?
Yeah.
Here's the game. The next day or a few days after that, you reduce your attention from 60 to 50%, right? In the sense that your conversations through text are no longer long paragraphs, whatever the fuck it is. Now you're just like hold on, hear me out. Because you're getting to know each other, right? You got to build some comfort for her to even go out with you. If you're not answering the right questions with detail and all that, she's gonna be like, nah, this guy's pretty lame. Like, it's boring. I don't want to go out with him. So there's some things you got to do. Hold on.
Most women lose interest when you guys show disinterest.
No. Well, no. But this is the test.
Oh, hell
This is the
no.
test. Hold on.
Hell no.
This is the test, right? Because if you reduce your attention and a woman really, truly saw the value in you during that date, she's going to pursue. Why? Because she's not going to want to go sleep around again next weekend, to your point, on another date to say, okay, I'm feeling this guy. I'm going to go sleep with him now. At that point, she does come off as a hoe, right?
My man's spitting
But
right now,
if
yo.
a girl gives, you know what I'm saying, she pursues you because you have the ball in your court now, you reduced your attention. If she's putting the effort into to try to, get your attention now, locked in 100%. That girl, I'm interested because she's not just, going around and saying, no, fuck this guy because he stopped talking to me or he reduced his attention, whatever the case is. And then I see in stories that she's out at a club next weekend with other guys, or she's being flown out she's out in Miami, she's out in Dubai, whatever the fuck it is.
Hey, if y'all see
Instant,
me, no, I'm just
instant
kidding.
hoe. I'm done. I'm out, right?
But what if?
But that's how you measure it, though, because again, a lot of guys will over communicate even after the first date, and they sleep with a woman. They'll over communicate. They'll be like, "Oh, hey, have a good night. It was great meeting you, and this and that. Hope text me in the morning." And then the next morning she doesn't text you, and you text her, "Good morning, beautiful," this and that. Like, you're over communicating. So you got to reduce the attention. You got to again, right?
It's so subjective. It just depends on the
It's
girl.
not subjective.
It's not
No, you
subjective.
should not do
No.
that. As a guy, do not be texting the girl the next morning, hey, good morning, beautiful. Let it sit for a day at least, probably. Just because once you have the ball in your court, you want to see if she's going to still have that attraction to you, that attention to you. And if she still has it, that's when you got her right there where you want her. He's been spitting this whole time.
Yeah, it's all
This
game.
whole little 3 minute, he's been spitting.